How's it going this week, everybody? So this week I'm going to be having Jeremiah on. His father used to make a bunch of claims that he was abducted by aliens. He always thought it was just, stories that he made up to scare them as kids until he had an experience with one of these entities. And he came on to tell that story today, and I'm glad he came on to share it. It's very interesting and definitely very creepy. I think you guys will definitely enjoy this one. Also, a quick shout out to everyone that's been signing up for the membership. I do appreciate it. If you are interested in the membership, you can head over to challengeoftheunknown.com and get early access to new episodes. Thanks for listening.
So, from a very young age, my dad was always telling me my brother's the aliens and ghosts and Bigfoot and all that, stuff was real. And we always just believed him because, that's our dad. And he had claimed to be abducted by aliens and thought he had implants and stuff like that. And as we got older, we thought he was just kind of crazy, but we also started thinking we were seeing things ourselves. So when I was about 19 or 20, I was living with him in his trailer. And I smoked cigarettes at the time, and I wasn't allowed to smoke, in my room at night because the smoke would make it to his bedroom and wake him up or whatever. So if I wanted to smoke at night, I had to go in the living room. So anyway, it's pretty late. I believe I was like a pizza delivery driver at the time that worked till about midnight. So I'd usually stay up pretty late watching TV after I got home. So one night I'm just kind of dozing off a little bit, so I decided to turn the TV off and go to bed. And, it's pitch black. So my bed, he had made these like three-way bunk beds that are hard to explain, but my bed, the underneath was about 2 or 3 feet tall. So it was a good place to like store things or whatever. You could get under there very easily. A little kid could go just walk under there, no problem. So, and my head was directly, like, my feet were facing away from the door, so my head would have been, like, facing the door. And it was about maybe 2 feet of distance there, just enough for the door to be able to close and open. So I'm laying there trying to fall asleep, and all of a sudden I start hearing what sounds like, like little kids' footsteps up and down the hallway directly behind my head. And it sounded like a toddler, just like the little pitter patter, like of bare feet almost. And they started going up and down. And I was just laying there like, what's happening right now? Am I tripping? What's going on? Then I start hearing patting on the wall, like the sounds of little hands, like patting the wall as you walk down the hallway to go with the footsteps. And then it just keeps getting faster and faster and faster. And then I hear them stop directly behind me in the doorway. And then I hear the footsteps run into the room and under my bed.
Whoa.
And I was terrified. I didn't want to scream because, I don't know what I expected. So I reached for my pack of cigarettes, which were like, I think they were under my pillow. Don't ask me why. And I lit up a cigarette and started blowing the smoke into the hallway as quickly as I could, hoping to wake up my dad. Sure enough, he woke up yelling at me, what the hell? I told you, no smoking in your room. And I just, I didn't tell him why in the moment. I just said, hey, sorry. I just wanted him there. I wanted to feel safe. In my head, once he's awake, they're just going to go away, And I didn't look under the bed, I can tell you that. But so the next morning, we were talking, and he's like, "What the hell, man? You've never done that before. What's the deal?" And I told him what happened, and he just looked at me. He's like, "Yeah, I told you. You're marked." Like,
oh God.
So, yeah. That's the story.
So to recap real quick with this story is, I know you got more than one to get to, but this is the first time that anything had happened to you that reinforced all of the stories that your father was telling over the years.
Right. Like, I mean, I'm open-minded, I guess. I still believe in that stuff to this day. But yeah, that was definitely the first time that I had anything happen to me directly.
So you never saw the entity, correct? It just
No.
you could hear it though, like you could hear it running around in the hallway, and then whatever it was ran under the bed. And
yeah, and that's how I was like, it's got to be. It couldn't have been more than like the size of a 2 or 3 year old, in height.
Right, for it to get under the bed that you're describing, it had to have been a small, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's creepy. Well, what's creepy about it is how you describe it is how you're hearing the bipedal footsteps in the hallway, and then it starts sounding like it's smacking on the wall. And man, that's creepy, man. That would mess me up for a little while. It'd mess me up for a little while. So.
Yeah, I mean that was 20 years ago, and I still remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh, dude, man, that's crazy, man. Like, but I don't mean that, and it's unbelievable, but like, I believe you, but it's just like, wow, that's got to be a really intense experience. I don't even know how I would handle myself in that situation.
Yeah, when I posted the story, and a lot of the comments were, a lot of the people were questioning maybe it was an animal, and I'm like, I know the difference between the sound of an animal and a humanoid.
Right.
But a lot of people were saying, I don't know how you would have slept after that. And I'm like, I don't remember anything after him yelling at me, to be honest. I don't remember how long it took me to fall asleep or anything like that.
Did your father ever describe the entities that he was supposedly in contact with? Did he ever talk about what they looked like or anything like that?
Yeah, he was pretty deep into the aliens and UFOs and whatnot. So he described the way, as he's called, the Greys, and I think they've been described that way elsewhere. So like the olive-shaped head with the big eyes and the small mouth, the one that you see everywhere and hear about everywhere.
The classic ones.
He said, yeah, those are the ones that he said would take him.
Interesting. And how often were you? So I assume that when he told these stories, they were all past tense. Was there ever an instance where your father like randomly disappeared overnight and then was, returned or whatever? Was there any instances like that?
I mean, not to my knowledge, I mean, I have woken up when I was living with him with like weird little scabs on me that I don't know how they could have gotten there. Or like, for instance, one morning I was just sitting on the couch, just kind of waking up, and I was wearing shorts and I was like rubbing my legs with my hands, and on my shin I felt like a scab or something. So I look, and I had what looked to be 3 scabs in a triangle pattern. And I was like, what the hell? How would I get that?
Right.
Like,
Weird.
And I mean, each scab was like maybe 2 times of a pinhead. They were small.
Interesting. But they were triangles.
Yeah. So the three of them formed one big triangle. Yeah. It was,
No, that's weird, man. I don't know. That's weird stuff to experience, man. Like, you're like, what the hell? What does this mean? Where did this come from? That's very unexplained.
Yeah. And, I told my dad, obviously, and he's like, yep, they must have took you last night, just like you would talk about watching the game. This is just part of his life.
I guess, man. That's interesting for sure, man. So what other stories did you have? I know you had another one, but this one was like a paranormal related experience that you had.
Right. Yeah. So this next one happened much more recently. It was about, I don't know, 10 or 11 years ago. But I met my girlfriend, my now wife, and after a couple months, we're spending a lot of time together and with her family, and most of the activities were at her sister's house because she had the largest house. So anyway, one night we're all just having dinner, and her sister's like, "Yeah, I couldn't get any sleep last night because, the guy was working in the garage last night." And everyone just kind of nodded their head, like, sympathetically or empathetically, and just kept going about their business. So I'm like, what guy? What are you guys talking about? So they tell me the story of the previous owner of the house, I guess was an older guy, maybe 60s, 70s, lived alone. And he was always in his garage working on cars and whatnot. And there was an accident, and, he had to be taken to the hospital. And on the way to the hospital in the ambulance, he died from whatever the accident in the garage was. So they say that he still is there. He's in the house. He works in the garage most nights, and you can hear the tools clanking around and all this. And they're telling me this, and I'm just like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the new guy to the family if they're trying to, rile me up or whatever. So then my brother-in-law now, he's like, yeah, he doesn't really like guys. He's like, he messes with me. Like, he'll, I'll see him out of the corner of my eye and try to scare me. And he's like, but he never messes with the women. Like, he doesn't mess with any of the girls or his wife. And I'm just like, yeah, all right. So my other brother-in-law, the one that doesn't live there, he's like, dude, he messed with me one time. He's like, I was spending the night and I was just on the couch watching TV, and all of a sudden the volume goes all the way up, all the way down, and then the TV turns off and turns back on, like within, 10 seconds. And he was looking for the remote thinking he was sitting on it or something, and it was across, like it was sitting on the table right by where the TV is, the TV stand. So he said he just turned the TV off and walked home at like 3 a.m.
Like, I'm out, dude. Bye.
Yeah, so I was just like, I was thinking, okay, I believe in ghosts and stuff, so I was like, maybe, you know what I mean? But I've never, well, I don't know. At that point, I was skeptical still, anyway. So a couple months go by, and I was having some issues at home, so I asked if I could crash on their couch for a few nights while I just kind of took a break from home life. And, watching TV on the couch, as one does. Well, maybe not anymore. Now it's Netflix, but back then it was still commercials and TV, so I don't know if anybody's ever watched TV laying on the couch. When the commercials come on, you kind of flip over to give that side of your neck a break, kind of stare at the back of the couch, while you're listening for the commercials to be over. So I was doing that thing, flip-flopping back and forth, and on one of those flips where I was facing the couch, I hear a voice whisper in my ear, "Go to sleep."
Whoa.
It scared the hell out of me. Did not turn around, reached over my shoulder, grabbed the remote, turned the TV off, and just closed my eye.
Fuck that, dude. That's freaky, dude. When you hear it, like when you really hear something like that messes you up, because I've been there. I've heard it, I've heard something that wasn't really there make a noise. It's definitely life-changing, that's for sure.
Yeah, the next morning I told them all, and they're like, we tried to tell you, and I was like, okay, fine, geez. But yeah, I've slept over there many times since then, but never on the couch. And if I ever start hearing sounds coming from the garage, I know it's time to hit the hay. He doesn't like people staying up too late, apparently.
Oh my God, that's creepy. That is so creepy. Man, all of this weird stuff is so much fun to me, because it's always the what if, It's what if this stuff is real? That's what makes it fun. And, I get a lot of people that'll shit on all this stuff nonstop. Like, that's their life mission, is just to shit on this stuff, and I'm like, man, just have fun with it, even if there's a 1% chance that this stuff is actually what we think it is, like, that's cool, it's fun. And I'm glad you came on to share your story. I think it's really interesting. And, I wonder what that creature was that you heard in the hallway. And I wonder, what that thing that you heard on the couch was. So let's start with the extraterrestrial-esque thing first. What do you think they are? Do you think they come from the sky? Do you think they're like an interdimensional being? What do you think they are?
I guess I've never put too much thought into it. I mean, I've always just kind of thought they were, the ones from the X-Files, just the guys from space and their little crafts, and maybe there was just a little one that night. I mean, I've never seen one. My brother claims to have seen one in the same bedroom, but that brother, I don't know, he's known for embellishing, so I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, like, that happened to me, so
maybe he wasn't,
yeah.
So yeah, maybe he really did see something. Maybe this one wasn't embellishing. It's pretty interesting. There's some consistency between two different accounts there. So what about let's move on to the ghosts, or whatever you want to call them. Do you think that these are people? Do you think that they're not people? Do you think that they just exist in different light spectrums? Because I know that's one of the big theories. What do you think they are, and why can't we see them all the time?
I think that there's, another, I don't know the best, like a veil over us. And outside of that veil is like another, where the souls can, I mean, I believe in heaven and hell and God and all that stuff. So I'm kind of along that same, belief that you see a lot that I see a lot anyway, that sometimes people just choose not to go. Mm-hmm. And they want to hang around or whatever. So that's what I think. That, because I mean, I heard this ghost, and then there was another ghost that I actually saw. I mean, just like a split second. But it's a real quick story. Like, I was living with this girl, and her brother lived in the basement. And one time I was in the kitchen and grabbing a drink, and it was the middle of the night, and I walk out of the kitchen to the hallway to go to back to the room. And you know how if you almost run into someone, like turn the corner like that, you kind of stop and like maybe jump up a little bit, like, oh, geez, sorry.
Like trying not to run into them.
Yeah. There was somebody right there, and then they weren't.
Whoa.
And it freaked me out. And then her brother came upstairs, and it was dark, and I was just like, man, were you just up here? And he's like, no. And I said, I'm not fucking playing, man. Were you just up here? And he's like, no, I just came up. Why? And I told him. He's like, oh, man, that's happened to me a couple times. So, I definitely believe, as far as like why we can't see them all the time, I think they may have some control over that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Like, they can share what they want to share.
No, I think that's a fair assumption, man. It's they talk about hauntings in so many different ways. They describe them as residual or intelligent. The residual is where it's just kind of like on a playback loop where it's the same thing over and over again. And then there's the intelligent hauntings that people describe where these things are actually interacting with people and they're moving things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
the same ghost that told me to go to sleep. So I live in Utah, and my wife's family is very religious, and Sundays are not meant for, whatever. Playing video games usually isn't allowed for some reason. So one Sunday we were all playing like Wii Sports. I don't know if you remember that. We were playing the basketball 3-point contest or whatever.
Yep.
And the whole family's just having a good time. And all of a sudden, the volume on the TV shoots all the way up and just stays there. And everyone's like, where's the remote? Where's the remote? It was in the kitchen, around nobody.
Oh, my God.
So I was like, well, apparently he doesn't want us playing the game. So, yeah, I would definitely say he's one of the ones that's aware and intelligent.
An intelligent haunting, yeah, for sure, man. Because he sounds like he can interact with stuff and to a degree that's beyond what other descriptions are. So yeah, man, we're sitting at about 20 minutes right now. I'm glad you came on to share your story, man. That was awesome, and I'm glad you came on, man. Thanks for sharing everything, and I'm sure someone will come forward with a similar experience.
I hope so. I mean, I know some of this stuff is still taboo even nowadays, and there's no reason for it to be. You know what I mean? Like, there's unexplainable shit that happens all the time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just, man, there's so many wackos, I hate to say it like that, but there's a lot of wacky people associated with this stuff that it turns a lot of people off of the subject, and that's why I do this show, man, is I'm trying to find the people that aren't, tinfoil hat living in an RV saying that the government is, controlling an alien conspiracy and they're all lizard reptilian people that are going to eat us, so there's that level that people associate with these topics, and then there's the blue collar, everyday average Joes like yourself who are just like, yeah, no, I've seen some weird shit, man. I don't know what it is, and those are the stories that I'm after, And the audience reception has been great, and that's why I keep doing it, is because people are thirsty for that really good story where it's like, hey, this guy clearly isn't a nut job. He's not making this shit up. He saw something. And then a bunch of other people come out and say, hey, I saw that shit too back in the 80s or whatever it is. And I think that's what's really fun about this.